Good morning, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. We're August 16th, and we're getting ready to do a cocklebur experiment. This is the first step. The mob is actually, we can see him up there. We just moved him onto a fresh paddock above the cockleburs. And tomorrow morning, because we have one more paddock left up there, that's for tonight. But tomorrow morning, we're going to dump them in here. And so what we've got is about 370 some head total. Probably I think there's 160 cows and heifers, and there's 40 some bulls and yearlings and just the whole steers, or some grass-fed steers in there, just a hodgepodge of everything. But you can see what we did. We took the four-wheeler and drove through here. And if we hadn't done this, we tried to put that in by hand, the animals wouldn't have seen the wire. So we've got, I don't know, there's probably 6-7 kV in that wire, and the cattle will hopefully see that and not run through it. But you know, you can see it. I mean, even the cows pretty anxious to move forward. We put our post spacing probably twice to 3 times closer than normal, just so the animals could see the post. You got animals that are competing with each other, and they take off running, trying to get to the next piece of grass because the other one does. They could go through that, but I don't think they will. They'll see that pretty good. We're going to have a lot of bawling going on in here with the baby calves because they're not going to be able to see their moms. So it's going to be loud. Somebody asked me about doing a live stream out here. We can't do live stream out here. I've only got one bar.
Maybe on top of the hill looking down.
Yeah, we don't have, you know, we're out here in the middle of the Tules. We're not in next to a major city, and we sure don't have high-speed internet, so won't be any live feed out here. This is as good as it gets. But I had the boys count off the steps so we know how long it is, and what was that length?
It's 153 paces long.
So it's 153 yards.
Yep, and I just stepped these off, and the average is 23 yards per paddock. So.
Okay, 23 yards wide. So
quarter acre.
Yeah.
Ben, you calculated it's right at a quarter.
Quarter acre, if you believe me.
Okay,
Quarter acre.
I believe you.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You just take your feet and times each other and divide it.
43,560 feet.
Yeah, 43,560 feet is the square feet in an acre. Yeah.
Did you multiply it by 3? Is those yards?
Oh no.
Yeah.
So it's feet. Okay.
Yeah. An acre is right at 209 feet by 209.
Yeah. So
That's.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, it's
it
about
looks
a
kind of
quarter
like
acre.
a quarter acre.
Oh.
So we're looking at putting 370 some head on a quarter acre.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that I wanted to clarify here is there is other food in here other than cockleburs.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, we put this up yesterday showing the field, and people were getting a little bit concerned that we were going to poison the cattle because cockleburs are poisonous. And one of the folks responded, and they're pretty educated. I can tell by the responses, and they're always piping in, and good data. And they said that, you know, as long as the seeds aren't mature, that's when they really get. If they eat a lot of mature seeds, that could be poisonous to the animal. But folks, there's no, yeah, there's a ton of other stuff in here, but there's no seeds. See, there's no seeds on those plants yet. Now, if we wait, let's say 2 more weeks, there'll be some green ones on here, but they won't be dried. And another question, I'm glad we're doing this preview because there was a lot of questions yesterday on that video that we posted. And one of them was, well, what about the seeds? Let's just say the cows did consume some seeds. Would that come up in their manure? Not if they're green. If they're eating green seeds, those seeds never made it to maturity, so that's not viable seed. Now, if the seed gets hard and turns brown, I don't know why a cow would want to eat that, but I guess they could. But your biggest problem of having cows spread this stuff around your farm, of course, is when the seeds are mature and they stick to them. Your cows that come out of something like this, folks, it looked like somebody took a bunch of little Velcro stickers and just stuck them all over them. And when the cows go to the next paddock, guess what they're doing? They're shedding. So they're taking these burrs here and putting them across your whole farm just by grazing method. They're just falling off and they're brushing up against stuff, and the cows are swiping at things and walking around. They just fall off on the ground. So one patch like this can seed your entire farm. So don't turn a blind eye to these things. They will, I mean, you'll be fighting these things the rest of your life if you let cows come in here mature and graze this. If these were mature, I wouldn't let them in here. I would brush hog it first. And when they get done here, we're going to take it down. I'm not going to leave it where these plants can come back and put any seed up. Somebody had a good idea. I thought, if we have enough soil, I might try it. I never have, but he said, put some competition out there and just really nuke these burrs. After they graze them, whatever's left, just chop it up right down to the ground, and then put either oats or field peas on it. Because we are approaching cool season, you wouldn't want to put too much warm season out here because we don't have much warm season left. But I don't know. We'll look at what we got. When I chew all this up, I'm kind of thinking there's not going to be much ground cover out there. There's not going to be much bare ground showing. So, guys, what do you think we're going to see when we turn them in here?
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do. They're going to be mad at us.
Yeah.
They'll get over it.
It's such a narrow strip that they're gonna. It's gonna be like a steamroller. That's my prediction.
It's gonna be funny to see the baby calves they're gonna get lost in there and start bawling. And
Yeah.
Moms are gonna be bawling. And
we may want to put our earplugs on.
yeah, no kidding.
But it's only for a short period of time.
Right, and that's what we're going to stress here, folks. These strips are 1/4 acre, and so let's just say, Ben, if we had, can you get your calculator out? Just to be just a rough guesstimate, we have around, let's say, 250,000 pounds of meat out there. So 250 animal units. Yeah. An animal unit is 1,000 pounds. So let's just do 250. So 250,000, and we got them on 1/4 acre. What would that be on?
On an acre?
Yeah, on an acre.
So times 4.
It'd be a million.
It'd be it'd be 1 million pounds to
the
acre.
So y'all are going to get to see what 1 million pounds per acre look like, and that's a rough guesstimate, but it's pretty close.
There might be more than 250,000.
Yeah, I just threw that out there. We may be closer to 300,000.
So like a little over 1 million.
A little over 1 million pounds.
And it might be different than an acre too. So it might be not quite an acre, or just a little more than 1/4 acre.
Right. So I get this, and I've even heard so-called professionals talk about how mob grazing doesn't work because you put them in there at 1 million pounds, and there was a guy gave a talk actually, and I said we tried that crap. He said, or that mob grazing, it just doesn't work. He said we put those steers in there at 1 million pounds stocking density. We came back the next day and they destroyed the paddock. I'm like, what? You don't put animals on at 1 million pounds per acre and leave them there for 24 hours. No. If you put them on 1 million pounds per acre, you probably ought to be moving them every 10 to 15 minutes. This guy was a researcher and he was going by the books, and he said it just doesn't work. And they tore the ground up, the animals looked awful, they're standing in poop and pee, and we'll never do that again. I'm like, well, you idiot, you should have moved them. But anyway, we're not going to do that. We're going to give these animals probably 10 to 15 minutes. We'll watch them. They get this.
Do a rough calculation of what they're on right now. What is it, 7 acres?
Well, that paddock up there,
What do you think?
yeah, they're probably on, there's a 10 acre, we split it in 3. So they're on 3 acres right now. And they'll get another 3 acres tonight.
Yeah.
So do that. You can do that calculation.
So it's like 41,000 acre per acre.
41,000 pounds. Yeah.
Acre.
So
for a full day.
Yeah, for half a day.
Well, no, it'd be. I did for 6.
Oh, you did for 6.
6
Okay.
acres, yeah.
What are they on this morning though? That'd be 80,000 then.
Yeah, it'd be 80,000.
Yeah, so there's
80,000 for half a day.
yeah. Folks, we moved that mob into that paddock last night, and I couldn't believe it this morning how much carbon they'd put on the ground. When we came in this morning, did y'all notice everything was laying down?
Yeah, and spread out over that whole 2 acre, whatever
Yep.
it is up there.
They were comfortable. Everything was laying down. We tagged a new baby calf that was born yesterday morning, and everything's just laid out. But they're up grazing again. And we moved that wire, they flat went after it.
They're ready to go.
They're ready to go. So again, 15-minute moves, roughly. I'm gonna be watching it with a grazer's eyeball. If we get this trampled real well, in 10 minutes, and the cows have eaten it all, and they're screaming at us and bawling, we may move them. You know, maybe 10 minutes. If we come out, we're gonna stay right here and do this whole experiment. We've got 3 paddocks put in that take in this whole cocklebur field, or this whole cocklebur area, patch. I want to call it a mistake. It wasn't anything we could do. Mother Nature hammered us with 4 to 5 inches of rain, and the reason they were in this field, we did not have any other place to go with them, because we'd already grazed off all the high land up there, and it just kept raining and raining and raining. And this draw right here below us, where you see those willows down there, there was water coming up that draw out of that big creek, and the creek came out of the banks. And so this is the only dry spot when we put them in here. It wasn't dry, but it was higher than the creek. And they didn't get swept away by the creek. But it actually came over our, we got a perimeter fence down there. It went up over the top of it.
We had some fence repair we had to do.
Had some fence repair we had to do, that's right. So anyway, we're gonna move them based on how well we get a trample here. We're not gonna leave them in here for 12 hours. You know, at 1,000,000 pounds, we're gonna move them probably in 10 to 15 minutes. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how much consumption we get versus how much of this they actually trample on the ground. But we're gonna use the cow hooves. That's what we're gonna use. We got a big mob up there, a lot of power. And you know, I'll go back to share y'all a story with Ian, my friend from Africa. And Ian, you know, he has a large farm, and at the time that I heard him speak, I think he had like 3,000 cows, and he's putting them on 40 acres, and he was moving them multiple times a day. And I was in the crowd. I didn't know Ian very well back then in those early days, and I was doing calculations. So I held my arm up and I said, Ian, I can do exactly in Missouri what you're doing in Africa. And he goes, well, how many cows you got? And I think at that time I had, I don't know, around 80. And he said, no, you can't. You can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean I can't duplicate you? I just did the math on the stocking density. I can put my cows in tighter and get the same stocking density you are in Africa. And he smiled and he goes, Greg, said, sir, he didn't know my name. He just said, Greg, sir, you don't have a 3,000 horsepower engine. You have an 80 horsepower engine.
Cow power.
Yeah, cow power. And then I got it. I'm like, okay, by God, you're right. And what he said was that as your herd grows, the dynamics change. So he saw a huge change when he went from like 700 cows up to 1,500. And then he went from 1,500 up to 3,000. There's another wholesale change. They graze more. They're more aggressive grazers. There's so much competition between the animals. They eat stuff they normally wouldn't eat. And you get a lot more trampling, because you got a big group of animals out there moving around that paddock. So yeah, I understood it then. So, and I can see the difference. You know, we're up to, there's 370 out here. But just, guys, you all remember when we put the 79 bulls in?
Yeah.
What did that do to our mob?
Our paddocks just become like more and more beat down just because there was 70 more head in with them.
It was like a new herd almost.
Yeah, it was like a bigger machine.
Yeah.
Bigger horsepower.
Well, I noticed, you know, normally we don't get much consumption on common ragweed. And so when we put those bowls in there, they're eating it. Mm-hmm. There's competition now. And you can almost see it in the cows' faces. Like, I'm going to get that plant before you do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, yesterday 160 was racing 196 to get up to the top, first one in the paddock. I mean, running up the hill.
She wanted to be the first one to get good groceries. Yeah. If you're late to the supermarket or the what we call the salad bar, all the goodies are going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about here. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will. And here in the near future, we're going to be bringing the mob in here, and that's going to be a separate video. But on the way out, you all new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and like. I'd appreciate it, and we'll see y'all down the road.